Welcome to Flag Day 2018. My name is Susan Honda, and I'm one of the co-chairs of this year's event. My other co-chair is Linda Persha, who's in the back somewhere. Flag Day is a program that started 29 years ago when a member of the Federal Way Soroptimist Club had a vision. Her vision was that Federal Way would become known as Flag City, USA. 50 flagpoles would be placed along Campus Drive with a state flag and an American flag on each pole. That woman was Lynn Scow. Soroptimist International is a worldwide service organization that has members in over 120 countries. Our name means Best for Women. Our mission is to improve the lives of women and girls through programs which lead to social and economic empowerment. Soroptimists are women of all ages, cultures, and ethnic groups. Soroptimists are leaders in their communities and believe that in working together we make the world a better place for women and girls. Our local club was started 43 years ago. We strive to educate, empower, and enable women and girls to become leaders. I am proud to be a member of this organization, and at this time I'd like to ask the members of the Soroptimist Club to stand and wave. They're mostly in the back. These women are all very involved in our community, and we are very, very happy that Flag Day is an important part of Federal Way. We have a special program planned today. This event, Flag Day, was a vision of Soroptimist Lynn Scow. We are committed to keeping her vision alive, and we look forward to next year, 2019, when we celebrate our 30th anniversary of Flag Day. And now I would like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, King County Council Member, Pete von Rothbauer.
Thank you, Susan. It's my pleasure to be part of our annual tradition to celebrate our flag and to honor those who have served and who are now serving others. I'd like all of you now to please rise for the presentation of colors by Boy Scouts of America Troop 361.
Attention! Color guard, forward, march! Color guard, halt! Color guard, prepare to post the colors. Please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard, hand salute. 2. Please join with me in the national anthem.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the Mayor of Federal Way, Jim Farrell. Jim has been served our region as a senior deputy prosecutor, and he served 10 years on the Federal Way City Council from 2003 until 2013. Jim is now a proud member of this community, but more importantly, a proud father. Looking forward to Father's Day tomorrow. And I want to thank Jim Farrell for welcoming our group to Federal Way today. Mayor Farrell.
Thank you, Pete. Well, good morning, everybody, and hello, Federal Way. Thank you so much for coming out. First, I'd like to recognize all the public officials here. Would you please either stand or wave your hand? Let's give them a big round of applause for their service to our community. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Soroptimist and King County Councilmember Pete Von Reichbauer for this annual ceremony that for the last 29 years, can you believe it, Pete? 29 years, we've honored the flag and those who defend it. A day like today makes all of us pause to think about the countless number of those who have served before us and those countless number who will serve in the future. Those who will continue to fight for our country and what our flag symbolizes. Today, I am humbled to be in the presence of so many who have served our country. While this past Thursday, the 14th, was the official Flag Day, every day to me is Flag Day. The Star-Spangled Banner that we just sang together really encapsulate what the flag stands for. Being held by I love the story of this. I absolutely love the story of the story behind that song, because so many times when we do things in our lives, we don't really know the story behind it, and I want to talk about that a bit. Being held by the British on a ship in the Patapsco River during the War of 1812, amateur poet Francis Scott Key observed the British attack on Fort McHenry from afar. When he saw the garrison flag still flying at the dawn of the next morning on the 14th, he composed that poem, originally entitled The Defense of Fort McHenry. Just a few short years ago, I stood in front of that same flag, which is permanently housed in the National Museum of American History, one of the Smithsonian Institution museums on the National Mall. It's almost about as big as the interior of this tent, if you can imagine that. It's in a 2-story chamber display that allows it to lie at a 10-degree angle in dim light. It is quite a sight to see. You see, what the Continental Congress understood in 1777, when it adopted the resolution stating that the flag shall be 13 alternate stripes of red and white, and 13 stars white in a blue field, is the importance of symbols. Symbols matter. We've been thinking a great deal about this, how to make a community and how to really honor the people in the community that have come before. And as I frequently say and firmly believe, Federal Way is not just a city of numbered streets. We've made an intentional effort in our community to designate our historic names at the bottom of our street signs. Just a few short feet from here, we honored King County Councilman Pete Von Reichbauer. And with this proposed naming of Veterans Way, we continue the process of recognizing those that have helped preserve the freedom of our city, state, and nation. We hope this will be a lasting symbol for generations to come in our community. Henry Ward Beecher, an American clergyman, social reformer, and speaker who was known for his support of the abolition of slavery, once said, "A thoughtful mind, when it sees a nation's flag, sees not the flag only, but the nation itself, and whatever may be its symbols, its insignia, he chiefly reads in the flag the government, the principles, the truths, the history which belong to the nation that sets it forth." Thank you, veterans, for your dedication to the flag and for freedom and what it symbolizes. Happy Flag Day.
Thank you, Mayor Farrell. We have two very special guests here today as we celebrate the flag. Both these individuals understand that freedom is not free. It takes sacrifice. When we began this program today, or planning for the program, none of us had any sense of what would be happening in Singapore earlier this month. It's been an incredible period of time between the Republic of Korea and the United States and North Korea. It's been a time that many of us have dreamed about, hoped for, and prayed for. And today we recognize not just the changing events on the peninsula, but the opportunity for the world. We're very lucky today to have a gentleman who understands that all too well. I had the privilege of having dinner with him 2 nights ago, and we had a chance to get to know each other quite well and appreciate the fact that his daughter and son, his son is serving in the military in Korea. His daughter is here in the United States, and I understand she's become a Mariner fan. We all are Mariner fans today. But the Consul General brings a really unique approach to his position. Those of us who are not Koreans don't appreciate the fact that he is really the conduit, the bridge for so many people living here, first and second and third generation Koreans who need somebody to be the bridge back to Korea. And here today to share some comments about the Republic of Korea, his mission, and his role is our Consul General, Hung Young Lee, the Consul General in the Republic of Korea. Please stand.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very honored to join you today to celebrate Flag Day. And I particularly thank Honorable Phon Naibauer for inviting me to this wonderful event. And I'm very happy to get together with very prominent figures in this community. Particularly, I'm very happy to get together with Major General Bang Nam-pyo and Major General Hemphill, and I also very happy to get together with many Korean community leaders and our Korean community friends. So thank you very much, all of them, for joining together with me. And particularly, I note this year's Flag Day celebration features the special recognition for the Korean armistice which took place in 1953. Well, the Korean War took place in 1950. Then at the time, following the United Nations mandate, the United States dispatched about 1.8 million soldiers to save South Korea. 1.8 million. Throughout the 3-year war, 36,940 US soldiers lost their lives. And 92,134 suffered wounds, and 3,733 are still missing in action. So today, I can clearly say that their sacrifices have never been spared. If it had not been for their sacrifices, free Korea would never exist. Indeed, their courage and determination saved the Republic of Korea that is now free, democratic, and prosperous. We Koreans truly honor and respect all American men and women who came to Korea to help us during the Korean War. And to express our gratitude and heartfelt thanks, Korean government began to award Korean War veterans with the Ambassador for Peace Medal. So the medal is token of our tribute and appreciation for their courage, determination, and sacrifices. For the last 4 years, my consulate has organized dozens of awarding ceremonies, inviting hundreds of Korean War veterans and their families. On May 1st this year, I attended an annual veterans gathering at the Ate Creek Middle School, and there we awarded 18 Korean War veterans. And last Friday, only 1 week ago, together with the Washington state government, we had another ceremony in Kennewick, and we awarded 95 Korean War veterans with the Peace Medal. So far, we have presented 589 medals for them in this region. I mean, state of Oregon, state of Washington. So, however, we'll continue to seek Korean War veterans to convey our gratitude. So, I cordially ask you to inform us if you know any Korean veterans who haven't received the Peace Medal. Lastly, I once again congratulate all of you, and particularly Honorable Pon Laibauer for successful celebration of Flag Day. And I thank all of you, and God bless you. Thank you.
I have often told my colleagues that the last 100 years was the year of the Atlantic Ocean, and the next 100 years is the year of the Pacific Ocean and the Pacific Rim. And I believe as England was our great ally in fighting oppression and tyranny, Korea is a great ally of the United States as we do and work towards the next 100 years of peace. It's now my honor to introduce our keynoter, the Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson. Bob Ferguson is Washington State's 18th Attorney General. As the state's chief legal officer, Bob is a fourth-generation Washingtonian, a graduate of the University of Washington and New York University Law School. Bob and his wife, Colleen, are the proud parents of 10-year-old twins, Jack and Katie. He also created the Office of Military and Veteran Legal Assistance within the Attorney General's office to help current and former service members find pro bono legal services. I had the privilege of working with Bob on Veterans Affairs legislation when he and I served in the County Council. He's sharing some stories today because the flag means so much to his family. He and I got involved in Veterans Affairs because it means a lot to him because of his own father and the service of his uncles and others who have served our country. Bob brings passion to his job, he brings passion to his family, and he's bringing his passion to Federal Way. Bob Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Pete. And first, please join me in giving a big round of applause to Councilmember Pete von Reichbauer for his many years of service to this community. It's great to be with all of you and with those 10-year-old twins he mentioned. Jack and Katie are here today. They just finished 4th grade yesterday. So what better way to start their summer vacation than right down here in Federal Way at the Flag Day ceremony. There's a small town in Iowa, Lamars, Iowa. It's in the northwest corner of the state. And in that small town, they have a memorial to those who served during the Civil War from that community, from that county. And it's a beautiful memorial, and the names of all these individuals are on that memorial. And one of those names is Clem Hosman. And Clem Hosman, as Pete knows, was my great-great-grandfather. He's a man who came from Germany in the 1850s, undoubtedly with little education, undoubtedly spoke very little, if any, English, and came over to the United States in the very early 1850s. He worked hard. According to the census, he had a job working in a saloon. That's what he did when he arrived in the United States. Got married, raised a family. But not long after coming to this new country, a war broke out, of course, the Civil War. And he was called to serve in the Union Army. I doubt he had that in mind when he left Germany and made that long voyage to the United States and ended up settling in the heartland of our country. But he, like many others, and folks who are here today, answered that call when that call came. The fact that he was a relatively new resident of this country presumably meant nothing to him. He was called and he served, and served honorably. And that community of Lamars has a great tradition, which I've read about, and someday I'd like to take the kids and my wife to it. Apparently, once a year, they have a parade in Lamars. And at the end of the parade, individuals from the community take small American flags, and they place those flags at the tombstones of those individuals who served in the Civil War. And I've often thought about that, right? It's really a beautiful touch, right? The individual who does that for my great-great-grandfather obviously did not know that man, does not know my family. But what that person does know is that they are showing respect to that individual by placing the most meaningful symbol we have as a country at his tombstone, our flag, right? It is the most meaningful symbol. Mayor, you talked about symbols earlier, right? It is the most meaningful symbol we have, the flag. And on the drive down here, I asked Jack and Katie, what does the flag mean to you? They're 10, and Jack said the military, and Katie said freedom. And if you think about it, those things are, of course, linked, right? Freedom is not free. It relies on individuals who sacrifice, oftentimes at great sacrifice. Pete and I talked about an uncle of mine who sacrificed a great deal, at great sacrifice to preserve those freedoms. Woodrow Wilson in 1960 proclaimed Flag Day as an official day, and he called for reflection upon the ideals and principles of which we have sought to make our great government the embodiment. The ideals and principles of which we have sought to make our great government the embodiment. Katie mentioned one of those, freedom, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equality, the rule of law, and so many others that we want to seek to be the embodiment of. And the flag symbolizes all that. But as Jack said, we need a military to preserve those freedoms. And so I want to thank each and every one of the individuals who are here today who have served or are serving our community. And Pete mentioned, you know, my family, my father served, and one of my early memories as a child is in our house in Seattle, where I'm one of 7 kids, and we had a very tall flagpole, not as tall as the one behind me, but we had a tall one. And my dad, he did not need a flag day to put the flag out. He put that flag out a lot. And it was a tall flagpole. It was the tallest one on the street as far as I could tell. And it was something I remember very clearly. He'd grab me and we'd go downstairs and get the flag. And the way he treated that, you know, it meant a lot to me. He passed that on to me and my siblings as well, which is why I also appreciate the many generations we have here today, the children who we have today, who can hear the speakers and see the veterans, the individuals who have served our country as well. There's a flag in my office in Olympia. One of those uncles that Pete mentioned, after he died, after a long life, a flag was presented, of course, at his funeral for his service during World War II. He had no children for that to be passed on to because my Uncle Bill was a Jesuit priest. He spent many, many decades serving in that capacity, and so that flag was passed on to me. And so every day I see that in my office, and it's a reminder of freedoms that we should never take for granted. He could be a priest, the freedom of religion, but he also served in the military to protect those freedoms as well. Finally, the last thing I want to mention is that President Wilson said something else back in 1916. The flag that we have protected represents who we are as a nation. He said, "In America, which no person can corrupt, no influence draw away from its ideals, no force divide against itself." And I think this is an opportunity, and I appreciate the Federal Way community so much for having this event. It's an opportunity for us to rededicate ourselves to those ideals. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We have 2 honorees today, but I also want to recognize some folks who need recognition. Today we're recognizing the people who served in uniform, but there are people who served in uniform right over here. These are South King County Fire and Rescue. Let's give them a round of applause. We have 2 very special honorees as we recognize the anniversary today with the Republic of Korea. Today we honor a very special general who came and visited us before, General Nam Peo Park of the Republic of Korea Army. He is an incredible person whose service we want to recognize by proclamation, and I'm hopeful we're going to find it here. General Park, whereas Major General Park served in the Army of the Republic of Korea, and whereas General Park holds degrees in political and economic studies and a Master of Business Administration, whereas Major General Park, his military career by graduating from the Korean Military Academy and later graduated from the Infantry School in Georgia, the Commanding Staff College in Korea, and a National War Institute in Korea. And whereas during the Korean War, he served as Chief of Staff, Tiger Division, and Commanding Officer, 30th Regiment, White Horse Division. And whereas after the Korean War, he served as Chief of Staff, 6th Corps, Superintendent, Army Information School, Commanding General, 21st Division, and Commanding General, 2nd Recruit Training Command. And whereas he retired as a Major General from the Korean Army in 1970. Whereas Major General Park immigrated to Seattle in 1973 and has been actively involved in his community ever since, serving as president of the Korean Society of Tacoma and chairman of the Korean Party Korean War Veterans Memorial Foundation. And whereas Major General Park has dedicated his life to service in both the Republic of Korea and the United States of America, we now recognize General Park for his service to people and his active involvement in our community. General Park. Please rise.
I just 어제 병원에서 나왔거든. 미안해.
Yesterday. 말씀하세요.
오늘 우리가 대한민국에서 사는 것도 미국에서 많이 도와주고 6.25년 때 여러분들 많이 희생했음으로 인해서 오늘 대한민국도 미국과 같이 어떤 나라를 자유진영에서 싸울 수 있던 그 자체가 우리가 행복하게 생각합니다. 대단히 감사합니다.
So I strongly believe the South Korea today is because of the United States' help in as a nation. So I still thank you for all the folks to serve the Korean War over 60 years ago.
Thank you, General. Thank you. Flowers.
Thank you, General. Thank you, General. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Today we also recognize and honor another colleague in this war. We honor United States Army Major General John Hemphill. Major Hemphill is an individual who has served his country and has served his community. I'd like to read the proclamation recognizing General Hemphill's service. Whereas the South King County region gathers for the 29th Flag Day celebration to honor our nation's flag, whereas General Hemphill, a 1951 graduate of the United States Military Academy, West Point, served as a platoon leader in the 503rd Parachute Infantry Regiment, 1st Airborne Division, whereas he assigned to the 31st Infantry 7th Infantry Division, General Hemphill served as a rifle company commander in the spring of 1953, battles of the Old Baldy and the Pork Chop sector. Whereas during the Korean War, he was awarded the Army Distinguished Cross, Bronze Star, Medal for Valor, Bronze Star Medal for Meritorious Service, 2 Purple Heart Medals, and the Republic of Korea Chungmung Distinguished Service Medal with Silver Star. And whereas subsequently in the Korean War, General Hemphill served as the commander of 2 infantry companies, a parachute infantry brigade, a research and development command, and a readiness command. And whereas since retiring in 1985, General Hemphill has resided in Steilacoom, Washington with his wife Peggy of 65 years and has been a very active volunteer supporting his town, school district, and Kiwanis Club, as well as organizing and perpetuating the Washington State Patriotic Day. We now recognize Major General John Hemphill. Please rise.
Thank you very much, sir. It's an honor to be here today. And I wish to point out that we spent a lot in the Korean War. We let people become free. And what they have done with that country, being the 13th largest economy in the world, with high rises and traffic jams and all the modern convenience, that's what the people of Korea did with the freedom they were given.
Thank you, General. Thank you very much. And next to present a poem about our flag is Tom Leonard, quartermaster of VFW Post 28066. Tom, please join us.
This poem was written by a man named Arthur Macy, a veteran of the Civil War. He was severely wounded 3 times at Gettysburg and was taken prisoner. And as a soldier, he learned what it means to march with the flag. Here comes the flag. Hail it. Who dares to drag or trail it? Give it hurrahs. 3 for the stars, 3 for the bars. Uncover your head to it. The soldier who tread to it, shout at the sight of it, the justice and right of it, the solid white of it, the blue and the red of it, and tyranny's dread of it. Here comes the flag. Here comes the flag. Cheer it. Valley and crag shall hear it. Fathers shall bless it. Children caress it. All shall maintain it. No one shall stain it. Cheers for the sailors who fought on the waves for it. Cheers for the soldiers that always were brave for it. Tears for the men who went down to the grave for it. Here comes the flag. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom Leonard. Before, this is a very special part of our program that kind of evolved over the years. But before we begin it, let's give a round of applause for the incredible Auburn High School band. We're going to begin a process now that many of you will recognize. As we play the Armed Forces Medley, please stand for your services song and be recognized for your service as to our country. It's very important whether you served or your spouse served or a member of your family served in the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, whatever it is. Please join when that medley comes up. Please stand and be part of the process because you served as well as those who served in uniform. I'd like to give a shout out to Major. And I believe we have a group here from the Air Force ROTC, Major Barry Jones. Mary, could you please rise and have your troops join up? These are our cadets at Todd Beamer. Thank you very much. I thought we'd welcome back our great vocalists, Xander Norman and Elizabeth Starr, along with the Auburn at the High School Wind Ensemble will lead us in singing God Bless America. What a great way to end our program, to thank everybody for being here and to end it with these young people behind us. These young scouts behind us here are the future, and they're the ones who are going to show us the way and hopefully pay our Social Security. Freedom is not free, and every day we take the time out to help others and serve, whether it's the service that these gentlemen are serving in our South King County Fire and Rescue, or the folks like General Hemphill and General Park. It's about serving others. This program is about serving others, and that is what the Soroptimist is about. I'd like now to have Linda Persha conclude this program.
Thank you, Pete. Before we do our final drawing, I would like to acknowledge our longtime Soroptimist and community activist, Faye Clerget. Would you please stand, Faye? Thank you for joining us. We have missed you, and it's an honor to have you here. And I would like to thank all of you for your service. We are free because of you. And Susan has someone that she would like to acknowledge. And then we will do our drawing. And the proceeds from our drawing will go to our scholarship fund. Thank you very much. I know it's getting very cold, and see you next year for our 30th anniversary. Thank you again.